Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and hey, Merry Christmas everybody, as this video is going to be released on Christmas Day. This video is being recorded like a week and a half ahead of time though, as I'm trying to stay ahead of content production here on the channel. But hey, hopefully you guys are able to celebrate in some way, shape, or form, and for those who don't celebrate, just, happy holidays. Now, let's get into business here. Let's kind of, I'm going to kind of set this up here a little bit, right? So, Christmas is falling on a Friday this year, and normally on Fridays we spend our time discussing the latest episodes of The Mandalorian. That's what we've been doing for the past 8 weeks. Well, at the time of this video, it's 7. The 8th episode hasn't even been released yet, but by the time this video goes up, it will be. So y'all get where I'm going here, right? So 8 weeks in a row we've been doing this where we talk about the latest Mandalorian episodes, but now that the season's over, we can't do that anymore. But I am not ready to stop talking about Mandalorians because I love Mandos. So I thought, you know what, we gotta figure out a way to keep the conversation about Mandos going. And so that's where I came up with the idea of, well, let's react to the top 10 Mandalorians in Star Wars video by WatchMojo, and that way we can see if we agree with their picks, whether we disagree. I can give you guys my picks for like my favorite Mandalorians. You guys can let me know in the comments who your favorite Mandalorians are. So yeah, I think this way we can keep talking about Mandos because I love them. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this.
I accepted this sword for my sister, for my clan, and for all of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Mandalorians.
Our strength was once in our numbers. Now we live in the shadows and only come above.
That's Jon Favreau under there, by the way, if you didn't know.
My ancestors
oh, speaking of Jon Favreau,
against the Jedi.
also
Now,
voiced Vizsla.
that woman tarnishes the very name Mandalorian. What do you think you're doing?
I love
What
Mandos.
does it look like? Art. For this
Satine.
list, we'll be looking at the coolest, most iconic, and important Mandalorians from both the Star Wars canon and legends.
Ooh,
Who's
okay.
your favorite Mandalorian?
Oh, I'm in for
Let
this.
us know in the comments below. Number 10, Bo-Katan Kryze. So you remember?
Y'all put Bo-Katan at 10? Okay.
Don't worry. Death Watch is gone.
I would have put her a lot higher.
A leader, warrior, and morally complex character, Bo-Katan is everything you want from a Mandalorian. No outsider.
Then why do you have her at 10?
First introduced in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the character was originally a member of the terrorist organization Death Watch. At this point in the history of Mandalore, theirs was becoming a pacifist society, but a substantial and proactive faction of Mandalorians wanted to return to their warrior roots. Bo-Katan was among them. Though this leads the character to embrace some regrettable tactics and allies, Bo-Katan's honorable nature wins out in the end. Over the course of the Clone Wars and Rebels, she's proven herself to be a good friend and leader. I accepted this sword for my sister, for my clan, and for all of Mandalore. In 2020, Bo-Katan made the jump to live action in The Mandalorian. I am Bo-Katan of Clan Kryze.
I'm so happy for Katie
I was
Sackhoff.
born on Mandalore and fought in the Purge. I am the last of my line. And you are a child of the Watch. Number 9, Duchess Satine Kryze. Some siblings are like two peas in a pod. In the case of Bo-Katan and Satine, however, these sisters couldn't be more different. Duchess Satine, when first introduced, caught many Star Wars fans off guard. Her peaceful version of Mandalore was a far cry from the warrior civilization we'd been reading about for years.
Everyone's like,
She
wait,
doesn't wear a
what?
helmet and might not even be recognized as a Mandalorian.
I didn't
until
mind
she
Satine.
identifies herself as such. But it's all the ways in which she deviates from the Mandalorian archetype that makes her stand out.
Not everyone on Mandalore believes that our commitment to peace is a sign of progress.
Satine is a strong-willed.
Could you have imagined when that episode of season 2 happened that it would have led to this big story for Mandalore with like Maul and Ahsoka and everything like that? Like, my goodness.
I've loved you always.
This was sad.
Number 8, Gar Saxon.
It's been a while since we had a fight like this. Are you ready?
Dude, when I saw him in that armor, I was like, F yes, son of Dathomir.
Considering characters from all across the
Trying to avoid
spectrum.
swearing.
Gar Saxon was a member of Death Watch. Unlike Bo-Katan, however, redemption was never really in the cards for him.
No.
He was staunchly supportive of Darth Maul and would later serve Palpatine, becoming Mandalore's Imperial Viceroy and Governor.
I am Gar Saxon, Imperial Viceroy of Mandalore. And you, rebel, are now my prisoner.
While Saxon isn't going to win any popularity contests, he's a perfect representation of the single-mindedness common in Mandalorians, a warrior through and through. He might not be a figure to admire, but he earns his place on this list for his brutality, leadership, and seriously cool set of armor.
His Son of Dathomir armor is amazing, and I'm so glad they brought that in Clone Wars in the show.
Number 7. Vizsla. Like Bo-Katan and Gar Saxon, Vizsla was not content with the way of life established by the new Mandalorians.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi. Now, that woman tarnishes the very name Mandalorian.
Oh,
As the
snap.
leader of Death Watch, he set out to return his people to their warrior roots. After having his efforts thwarted on numerous occasions, however, he turned to Darth Maul for assistance.
Perhaps fortune brought us together.
It is the will of the Force. We can help you reclaim Mandalore.
Mandalorians are often cited as
This was
among
such
the
a
few
good arc.
non-force-wielding groups that can hold their own against the Jedi. Vizsla certainly lives up to that reputation.
Oh, this fight.
When he
Dude,
inevitably came
this
to blows with
effing
Darth
throne
Maul,
room
Vizsla showcased
has
incredible
so many
skill and a unique
amazing
fighting
fights.
style worthy of his people. Plus, considering he's
Like,
not
the best
force
fights
sensitive,
in
you've gotta admit
all
that
of
he's
Star
pretty
Wars.
handy with a lightsaber.
And all of them involved Maul.
Number 6. Vizsla. There's not a whole lot that we can know with certainty about Vizsla. But like many of the franchise's most compelling characters, the mystery is part of this Mandalorian's appeal.
Legend tells that it was created over 1,000 years ago by Vizsla,
First Mandalorian
the first
Jedi.
Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order.
As the story goes, Vizsla was the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi. Consider how formidable Mandalorians are in the battlefield. Okay, now add Force sensitivity and Jedi training on top of all of those Mandalorian skills. What you get is a warrior legend.
Well, you were just a baby, so you couldn't come, but Father brought me here to see the statue of Vizsla, the ancient Mandalorian ruler.
Vizsla's lightsaber, the dark saber, is totally unique, and following Tar's ascendancy as the ruler of Mandalore, the dark saber has been considered a symbol of leadership amongst the Mandalorian people. We can only hope that we one day get to see this legendary Mandalorian Jedi in action.
That
Number
would be
5,
cool.
Canderous Ordo.
Yes,
also known as
Canderous!
Mandalore the Preserver.
My name's Canderous Ordo. I work for David Kang in the exchange. The hours aren't great, but they promised me a fortune to work for them. I
Nice.
had nothing better to do.
I was hoping
Another
they'd have him on
Mandalorian
here when
from
they
a
said
bygone era,
Legends.
Canderous Ordo fought in the Mandalorian Wars, which spanned 16 years from 3976 BBY to 3960 BBY. While his name might not mean much to those who've only watched the movies and TV shows, Ordo is well known to those who played the Knights of the Old Republic video games.
Oh yeah.
Normally I do this myself, but everyone knows who I work for.
Also known as Mandalore the Preserver, Canderous Ordo distinguished himself in combat during
He's
the
in Galaxy
Mandalorian
of Heroes.
Wars. Though he and his fellow Neo-Crusaders were ultimately
Cool.
defeated by Revan, he and the legendary Jedi/Sith later became allies and friends. At Revan's encouragement, Ordo would go on to unite the Mandalorians anew, and become one of the greatest leaders in the history of their civilization.
We've got what we came for. We should get going.
Number 4, Sabine Wren.
Yeah.
Sabine Wren is cut from a different cloth. While
I love
Mandalorians
Sabine.
tend to be a stoic, impersonal bunch, Sabine is very much an individual,
excuse me.
and she doesn't shy away from her feelings.
That might be the Mandalorian way, but it's not my way. Not anymore.
She's an artist and warrior, which makes for an oddly compelling combination.
What do you think you're doing?
What does it look like? Art.
Sabine's artistry and willingness to push back against the status quo makes her an inspiration to many. Thankfully, she's also got the combat skills to back it up.
That she does.
Honestly, it's hard to imagine the crew of the Ghost having made it through so many scrapes without her. Sabine Wren might not be very good at following orders, but over time she evolved into a natural leader. She would go on to play a pivotal role in the liberation of Lothal. Number 3, Mandalore the Ultimate.
Ooh.
Welcome to the Battle of Malachor 5, Revan. We meet at last.
Mandalore is the ruler of the Mandalorian people and planet Mandalore. A bit confusing, we know. Mandalore being an honorific title, however, each ruler adds a descriptor to distinguish themselves from Mandalore's past and future. These titles in general tend to be pretty self-aggrandizing, but as one of the greatest Mandalores in history, Mandalore the Ultimate actually lives up to the name.
Mandalore the Ultimate sought to create the most powerful army in the galaxy. To achieve this, he had to defeat the Republic and its Jedi protectors.
This fearsome ruler led his people during the Mandalorian Wars. He ultimately fell at the hands of Revan, but what Mandalore the Ultimate accomplished up to that point was staggering.
Revan single-handedly slew Mandalore. He then activated a super weapon which destroyed an entire planet and everyone on it.
His conquests were far-reaching and revitalized the Mandalorian people, encouraging them to fully embrace their warrior heritage while also redefining what it meant to be a Mandalorian. Number 2, Boba Fett. We know, this character's status as a Mandalorian is contentious, and the same goes for his father, Jango Fett.
I recently encountered a man who wore Mandalorian armor. Jango Fett.
Jango Fett was a common bounty hunter.
Liar.
How he acquired that armor is beyond me.
It's been claimed that they are in fact just bounty hunters in Mandalorian armor. Part of the confusion, however, stems from the fact that Boba Fett was introduced before the Mandalorians. It was his design and popularity that led to the creation of this warrior civilization, and the rest, as they say, is galactic history.
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
With his incredible skill and no-nonsense approach, Boba Fett has distinguished himself as one of the most legendary bounty hunters in the trade. Though he was long thought to have died in the Sarlacc pit, his story isn't over yet.
No, it is not.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You'll have the option to be notified for
They've done
additional
such a
videos
good
or
job
all
with
of
Boba
them.
Fett and The
If you're on your
Mandalorian.
phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Din Djarin.
The
Boba
Mandalorian
Fett
himself.
may have been the inspiration behind the Mandalorians as a people, but Din Djarin has brought them to the forefront of pop culture. The
This is
titular
true.
character of
You
the
can't
very
argue
first
that.
live-action Star Wars series, Djarin
Crate
pushed
Dragon.
the franchise in bold new directions to spectacular results. And thanks to this serialized approach, we've really gotten to know and love this helmeted hero. He's got the skills we've come to expect from his people, and takes great pride in following the Mandalorian creed.
Take it off. Or I will.
Crafted in the mold of classic Western stars, he's a stoic protector. But underneath that Beskar armor beats a heart of gold.
Is Pedro Pascal.
Din Djarin is the Mandalorian we've long been dreaming of, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for him.
Yep.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent
All right.
from
So personally, I probably would have had a list that looked a lot different from what WatchMojo had, because I mean, personally, at my number 1, I would have had Sabine, because Sabine, to me, she's my favorite Mandalorian. She's one of my favorite female characters, one of my favorite Star Wars characters, period. So I would have had her on that list, higher on the list. I definitely would have had Bo-Katan on the list. I don't know why they put Bo-Katan at 10, but you know what, whatever. Some people that they didn't put on the list that I personally would have put on my list, I would have had Fen Rao on there. Fen Rao was freaking awesome in Star Wars Rebels. He was great. I'm even just thinking about it right now, like, it'd be kind of cool, like, if we got him in Bad Batch or something like that. Like, that'd be dope if they had some Mandos in there. I think I would have had Ursa on the list, as well, Sabine's mom. She was pretty cool. I like that they had Candace on their list. For those who haven't played the KOTOR games, I highly encourage it, because, I mean, even if you're not necessarily a fan of the gameplay, which I'm not personally, but to me, like, the story, especially in the first game, is so good that it's, like, it's worth getting through the gameplay to see. Or if you're not a big fan of gameplay, then just, like, look up, like, the cutscenes on YouTube. Another person that I maybe would have had on that list, or at least as, like, an honorable mention, would have been the Armorer. I don't know where she's been since season 1, because we last saw her at the end of season 1 where she kicked butt against, you know, some stormtroopers, but we have not seen her since. Maybe she'll show up in the finale, maybe not. And then there's Boba Fett, right? Everybody loves Boba Fett. Let me say this, you guys. Growing up as a kid, I always thought Boba Fett looked cool. Okay, I'm not gonna deny that. I've always thought he looked cool, and I've never thought otherwise, because I love Mandalorians, I love Mandalorian armor, I love the different kinds of Mandalorian armors. Like, that scene at the end of that episode in Rebels where all those Mandos are there was just, like, so awesome, because it's like I'd spend so much time looking at all the different, like, armor types, or not armor types, but, like, armor colors and patterns that they would have. I love, like, running into, like, when I was at Star Wars Celebration, I would see, like, the Mandalorian mercs walking around, or just other people in Mandalorian outfits, and I'd always just sit there and observe and just see, like, what they did with their armor, because just, I love Mandos. I love Mandos. I love their culture, but I'm kind of going off what I was getting back to my main point here about Boba Fett. Everybody loves Boba Fett. I always thought he looked cool, but I mean, like, the more I got older, it was like, okay, like, Boba Fett's cool, but I don't necessarily understand the hype, but after Mando, after this season, after that one episode where he showed up, I believe it was season 2, episode 6, The Tragedy, right? When he showed up, I understood the appeal, if you will. I was eating my humble pie, because I even said before, I'm like, okay, seeing Boba Fett in the desert was cool, but then after we started seeing people like Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, I was like, okay, screw this, we don't need Boba Fett. I was so wrong. I am so happy to be wrong. Boba Fett, to me, like, to me, he's cool now. Like, to me, he's actually got some appeal. Here's the funny thing, right? Like, why is it that every time a character gets killed off, it's like when and then they end up coming back, I care about them more when they come back than when I did when they were around the first time. Because for me, it's the same thing with Darth Maul. Obviously on a much different extent, because I hold Maul, like, up here as, like, one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever, where Boba Fett, like, I still don't consider Boba Fett my favorite, but just, like, you know, when you look at a character like Maul who died and then came back, and he just... that whole story of him between Clone Wars and Rebels just blew me away. I freaking love Maul. And I love what they're doing with Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. It's so cool. And the fact that Tamara Morrison got to come back and, you know, reprise his role as the character, because, you know, he may not have played him originally in The Empire Strikes Back, but when they did the special editions, Tamara Morrison went back and voiced Boba for the scenes that he was in. I wouldn't have had Din at number 1, but I tell you what, guys, Din is slowly rising up my list of favorite Mandalorians. Just the story that they've told with him in this show is just absolutely brilliant. And like they said in this video, and it's something that we all got to remember, right, is like this, because of what they're doing with this show, they're introducing the Mandalorians and their culture to a much larger audience, the mainstream, if you will. Something that I don't think has been done before to this extent, you know? And so people are seeing the story of the Mandalorian through Din's eyes. So you know what? I mean, Pedro Pascal has just taken on this role. He's nailed it. I'm so, you know, incredibly grateful to John and Dave and everybody for working on that show and doing the work that they have done. And you know what? I look forward to season 3. And at the time of this recording, I haven't even seen the final episode yet. Okay, guys, that'll wrap us up here today. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this video around, as it really helps me support the helps support the channel. Hopefully, you guys are having have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I will see you guys again soon.
This is the way.
This is the way.